into it because there's a lot of secrets, and there are two things that I'm going to give you that are going to make your life better today after the shir than it was before the shir. And it's in this pasuk. We're only going to try to explain the first pasuk of the parasha. And from now, that's going to be my focus rather than giving a few psukim. We're just going to focus on one part. The parasha starts this way. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe. Hashem said to Moshe, standard way to start a parasha. Emor el Kohanim. Say to the Kohanim. He didn't say tell, because usually the Zohar explains the difference between telling something or saying something. Telling is when you want everyone around to hear. And in opposite, to say something is you're going to hush it. You only want that person to hear it. So when Hashem gave the 10 commandments and he wanted everyone to hear, Hashem says, daber, tell, because you want the whole Am Yisrael to listen to it. When it's only for the Kohanim, here we say, Emor, say. So say to the Kohanim, sons of Aharon. In Hebrew, it's the opposite of English. You first define, you say in a sentence, you first mention the noun, then you mention the adjective. In English is nice man. The adjective precedes the noun. In Hebrew, it's the opposite. So once you're going to talk about the Kohanim, you should have said, Bnei Aharon HaKohanim, the sons of Aharon, which are the priests, the Kohanim. How can you say you talk to all the Kohanim, then you tell me Bnei Aharon? Everywhere in the Torah, besides here, it says the opposite way, the right way. So why here the pasuk comes and tells me, makes a grammatical error on purpose? Then it says, Ve'amato alehem. Wait a second. You told me, say to the Kohanim Bnei Aaron. You didn't tell me what to tell them. And now you tell me again, say to them. Like, you're instructing me to give them 2 commandments. But the first one is hushed. It's not in the pasuk. It's not brought up here. So we're going to keep on. Ve'amato alehem, and tell them, Lenefesh lo yitama beyamav. A Kohen is forbidden to become tamei with ensoiling and defiling himself with a mace, a dead person, a dead body. So we're going to define exactly who is the Kohen, what his power, and what is his function in Am Yisrael. But before that, I translated lenefesh lo yitama, that he shouldn't defile himself with a dead body. But that's not what it says in the pasuk. When you want to say a dead person, you call him a mace. Everywhere, Adam ki yamus be'ohel, a person that dies in a tent. Whenever the Torah refers to a dead body, the Torah refers to a mace. Here it says, he should not defile himself with a soul. That's the pure translation of the pasuk. Only bodies can become tamei. Soul becomes tamei too. It's a news to us. So what is Moshe's second commandment here is to the Bnei Aharon, to the sons of Aaron. Lenefesh lo yitama. He should not defile himself with a soul. Really, we've never seen anywhere in the Torah, in the Rambam, in the Chinuch, a mitzvah counted that you should not defile yourself with souls. So automatically you understand that this pasuk is talking in a very secretive manner. So we're going to try to understand what's going on here. Looking at the Zohar, Rabbi Yosef is going to add one more question. And Rabbi Yosef is saying like this. The last 2 commandments. So the previous parasha was commanding Bnei Yisrael to be tahor. And they had, they had the mention of the forbidden woman, what we call the arayos, then the forbidden foods. So that's how Bnei Israel elevate themselves and sanctify themselves, but staying away from forbidden women, from staying away from forbidden food, and from not accessing sorcerers and witchcrafters. That's exactly the parasha ends up last week. These are the last two psukim. So ask Rabbi Yosef, why do you talk the first commandment? If you want to tell me that the Kohanim should also be sanctified and holy, say it like you started the parasha with Bnei Israel. Why do you start with a specific mitzvah that a Kohen cannot defile himself with a dead body? What's the relationship between this and the previous psukim, and this and the Kohanim being sanctified? It's a much broader and much better to express the mitzvah in general. Say you have to be Kaddish to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And by the way, one of the mitzvahs is you cannot defile yourself. Here, the pasuk started the opposite way. It's a very good question Rabbi Yossi is asking. Rabbi Yossi says the intention of the Torah here wanted to show you the same way the sorcerer, witchcrafter, accessing sorcerer, witchcrafters defiles the Kedusha of a Ben Israel, the same way the Tumah of a mace defiles the Kedusha of the Kohen. Why? Because the Kohen is more sanctified than any of the Bnei Israel in general, and therefore his Kedusha is very sensitive to every tumah. So even a mace, which the Ben Israel was not warned not to get defiled by a mace. On contrary, he can. And this doesn't affect his sanctity, his holiness. By a Kohen, it does affect it. So you see that the Kohen is more sanctified. That's the idea the Zohar wants to give here. And just to explain you, to try to summarize what we're going to go through, I'm just going to give you one little, it's not deep, one little saying from the Ari HaKodesh is, you have three groups of people in Bnei Israel: Kohanim, Leviim, Yisraelim. The Kohanim, the Levites, and the Bnei Israel. First letter of each one is Chaf, Lamed, Yud. Together, we become a vessel. When you put the Kohen, the Levi, and the Israel together, it makes the word Keli. Keli is a vessel, and this vessel can receive. You have to have a vessel to receive the Shefa and the Bracha from Shammai. Just wanted to give this, and you're going to see what we're going to use it. So the Ishbitzer, Mordechai Yosef Leiner, we call him the Mei HaShiluach, wants to explain what is the hidden meaning of this pasuk. The Ishbitzer says like this. The pasuk says, Emor la kohanim lenefesh lo yitama. You have to tell to the kohanim not to defile yourself with the tumor of a mace. But it doesn't say it clearly, as we mentioned prior. He uses a teaching from the Baal Shem, and this is a teaching you can take with you, and it's a tremendous teaching. Who are you, each of you? Whatever your thoughts are, says the Baal Shem. Why? Because the thoughts are what give the direction to the body, are what give the direction to the soul. If you think making something good now, your body will follow, because the thoughts are providing the direction. If Chaz v'Shalom, your thoughts are negative, then this is where you're going to go. The Goyim copied, but this is a fundamental teaching from the Baal Shem HaKadosh. The proof of it is very simple, says the Ishbitzer. When a person sleeps, what do you see? Since you shut down the machshava, which is the thoughts, where the neshama is, automatically everything is dissociated. Now, put a parallel to what I said before, Beshem Da'ari. Once you dissociate the Kohanim from the Levim from the Israelim, Bnei Israel resemble a sleeping body, means cannot function. There's no awareness. There's no direction. There is nothing. Says the Ishbitzer, who is the Kohen? The Kohen is the one who gives direction to Am Yisrael. Therefore, he has to be even more aware and especially more holy, more Kaddish than any of us. Why? Because he provides through his machshava, he provides the direction of Am Yisrael. Therefore, through his machshava, when he makes a korban, the korban can be either accepted or rejected, because his thoughts are going to drive even the direction the korban is going to go through the world. I'm just going to give you illustrate with an example. Once someone falls in a hole, what is it easier, to carry him out of the hole or to pull him out of the hole? Obviously, to pull him. The Kohen is the person who pulls out the Bnei Israel from the hole and gets them out of the hole back on the surface. Without the Kohen, this is not possible. On the other hand, without the Bnei Israel, the Kohen is empty. He doesn't have his avodah, which is bringing korbanos. This is a tremendous fundamental lesson in life. We are our thoughts. We are nothing else but our thoughts. A person should control his thoughts, because whatever his thoughts are, this is who he is at that moment. Besides that, the thoughts have a tremendous power that we don't see. They affect more than an action. In this world, we have the impression that the thoughts are below the action. Do an action. Wrong. The action only works in this world. A thought work, and the thoughts work in the four worlds. We're going to see a bit later. The Me'er Shiluach, he wants to give a second reason. He's not fully satisfied with the first reason, and he wants to give a second reason why is the Kohen provided such an exceptional Kedusha. He says, when a person is a Oved Hashem, is a servant of Hashem, is so close to Hashem all the time, and he's aware that whatever Hashem does to the people is always for the best. They always see. They're the person they call Isha Chesed, because they come from the midah of the Chesed. So they always see good in every situation. Those people, there's the flip side of the coin. It's extremely dangerous to expose them to the din. They don't understand the din. A person who comes from the extreme goodness doesn't understand the harshness of the din of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So once you expose them to death, which is the din, and the proof is in the pasuk, if you take nefesh, the nefesh lo yitama is gematria din v'cheshben. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's time to make din v'cheshben with everyone, the Kohen cannot take this. He's not built for this. Ben Yisrael can take it. The Levi can take it. Kohen cannot take it. He cannot confront the Midas Adin. He could become Chaz v'Shalom, a kofer. This is how the Ishbitzer says. A Kohen, because of his goodness and the extreme goodness he has, being exposed to the Midas Adin can turn him into a kofer. And therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu prevent him from going out on purpose. Not because only there's an interest to the Am Yisrael, or there's an interest to the Kohen himself. That the Kohen should not defile himself, because he cannot sustain that test. He cannot be confronted to that test. The tumor will take him down from his pedestal. And if we look through, I don't want to go and extend the shir, but if we look many proofs through the Nevi'im, what the Kohanim were the leaders of the one bringing Avodah Zarah to Am Yisrael. Now we understand the Midas Hadin is better expressed in the Gemara in Kiddushin. The Gemara brings the Mishnah in Kiddushin Lamed Tes Amud Beis, very well-known Mishnah. Kol ha'iseh mitzvah achas, anyone performing one mitzvah, metivin lo. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is good to him. Umarichin lo yamav, and we extend his lifetime. V'noichelen es haaretz, he inherits the land, meaning, all kind of goodness, wealth, life, everything. V'chol she'ino iseh mitzvah achas, and the one who let go, refuses to perform one mitzvah, en mitivin lo, we're not good to him. Ven marichin lo chayav, in other words, say someone does avera, and we don't extend his life. And also he doesn't get the bracha of money. He doesn't inherit the land. The Gemara asks on that Mishnah a bomber question. We have a brisa saying just the opposite. A brisa is a Mishnah that was not Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. It's also said by Tanaim, but Rabbi Yehuda Nasi decided not to put it in the Shisa Sidra Mishnah. That's why we call it the brisa. But it says also by Tanaim, therefore it's at the same level, and therefore the Gemara can bring a question on a Mishnah from a brisa. This brisa is mind-boggling. It says like this: anyone who has more merits than sins, we are bad to him. Meri in lawyer, we do him bad. And he looks like he burned the whole entire Torah without leaving one letter. However, someone who has more sins than mitzvahs, we do him a lot of favors. We good to him. Hashem is good to him. And he resembles a person that accomplished the entire Torah without even leaving one letter away. So the Gemara asks, how can you tell me that we do good to the one who does the mitzvah? This brisa says just the opposite. Anyone who does the mitzvah, his reward will be bad. Anyone who does avera, his reward will be good.
Shimon, we're breaking up.
Okay, I'm sorry. So please let me know again if I had some papers on my microphone, maybe. So the Gemara ends up explaining that a person is basically in his interest to pay in this world whatever bad he had done, because the price in the next world is much tougher, much heavier. And therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this is the goodness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to a person, to expiate his sins in this world rather than the next. The Rasha, who shows that his interest is to do bad, okay, so take the schar of your mitzvahs in this world. So this, the Kohen, says the Ishbitzer, the Kohen cannot assimilate it. It's impossible. We're going to go a level deeper with the Badichover. Rabbi Yitzchak Badichover in the Kedushas Levi, he goes and he's going to give us the keys to be able to answer the first pasuk. It goes like this. The Kedushas Levi explains, and I'm not going to go into Kabbalah or whatever explaining in depth. I just want to brush it because he brings it. There are four worlds. The lower is called the Olam HaAsiyah. Then you have Abiyah, the Olam HaYetzirah. These are just four worlds. Let's put it that way. We don't care about the names. Why four worlds? Because they refer to the four letters of the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yud Ke Vav Ke. Obviously, the lowest letters, the last He of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is less holy than the Vav beforehand, which is less holy than the He beforehand, which is far less holier than the Yud beforehand. a person can elevate himself through the world with his mouth by saying good things, by doing good things with his mouth. The mouth is the function that enables a person to pass from one world to another, and to another. The more holy things he says with his mouth, the more he saves his mouth from saying bad things and things that are forbidden, the holier the person becomes. However, exactly like the Ishbitzer said about the Kohen, when a person is elevated, every questionable talk could become catastrophic depending on the world he's standing. A person extremely elevated, you want to understand this? Talking in shul, for example, has far more reach and destruction than talking outside. The same talk, let's say a talk which was not supposed to be said at all, according to Allah, if it's said in shul, carries much more weight and much more punishment than if it was said outside. The closer a person to Hashem, you all remember the story of the Sarah Mashkim and the Sar Ha'oifim. The baker and I forgot how to call the Sarah Mashkim in English. Anyway, one was serving Paro his cup of wine, and a fly, the butler. Thank you, Dudi. So the butler was serving Paro his cup of wine, and a fly just jumped in. It was not of his fault. He was not careless. But someone who serves cookies and cakes full of worms, he didn't siphon he doesn't care about the king. It's a total disrespect. For someone so close to the king, he needs to lose his head. That's what happened. The closer we are to Hashem, the more every sin carries, and the bigger the punishment is going to be. Now, I want to go, we asked the question with this in mind, that we asked in Hebrew, the grammatical way to construct a sentence is to say the noun before the adjective. And here we say, HaKohanim b'nei Aharon, instead of b'nei Aharon HaKohanim, as it said everywhere in the Torah. It goes exactly according, this proves the vote of the Kedushas Levi, that is Torah's emes. Because if you do the gematria of Bnei Aharon, you're getting Ner Nechi, which is for those who knows, Neshama, the Rashi Tevis of Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, Yechida, which is for the worlds. And we said, what is the first commandment in the Emor that Moshe told the Kohanim? He told them, watch out, Yugdusha, you like a ladder for Bnei Israel. You bring them through your avodah. They cannot access those worlds. You are a ladder through all these worlds. Through your avodah, you can elevate them through all these worlds. There's another technique in according to the Ari HaKodesh in Gematrias, is you have 22 letters with their values, but you have letters that are repeated twice. We call the Bagat Kafrat. Base, vase. Gimel with the dagesh, without a dagesh. Sfadim pronounce it different. Resh. So the noon is worth 700. So if you take Bnei Aharon through that technique of the Ari HaKodesh, it comes sur mera va'ase toiv, like the Zohar exactly said. They had to be urged, the Kohanim, Emor ve'omato, keep Moshe Rabbeinu. It's not only once you have to tell the Kohanim. It's constantly remind them that the Kedusha is so elevated that it's extremely dangerous for them to defile themselves. They're too close to Hashem, the punishment will be tremendous. Bnei Israel were Kadesh atzmecha b'moisalach, it means becomes holy with things that are permitted to you. Because it's not because you're allowed to eat, you have to eat like a chazer. No, you have to eat to sustain yourself. For the rest, if you don't eat more, then you become elevated. The more remote you become from this world, the more elevation you're getting. But you only sur merah. The Yidden, the Gdusha is begeder sur merah. The Gdusha of the Kohen is stay away from bad, but also do good. Sur merah v'aseh tov. This is the Emor ve'omata, the Emor la Kohanim. The Imre Noyam blew my mind off. He took the words Emor. This parsha, he says, is asking a question. Why is this parsha, at this time of the year? Why Dafka in the Omer? What's the relationship with the Omer? Says the Imre Noyam. Emor ela kohanim b'nei Aharon. You could have said only the ve'amata afterwards. So here the pasuk says Darshuni. Explain me. There's a meaning in every of these words. So he takes all these words. Emor el hakohanim b'nei Aharon. He says it's gematria, the word oimer, when you write it in full. To explain you, and you're gonna get used to this. Once you have a gematria with the words, the letters, you see the letters in Hebrew, it's not like in English. In English is the sound. We only say, we call a letter by the sound it makes. A, B, C, D. In Hebrew, in Lashon HaKodesh, the letters have power. And the power installed in those letters is what composed the letter itself. For instance, Aleph, it's Aleph, the letter Aleph, Lamed, Pei. Why? Because in the letter of Aleph, HaKadosh Baruch Hu put the strength of 3 letters. So when we write Omer, it's Ayin, Yud, Nun, Mem is Mem, Mem, and Resh is Resh, Yud, Shin. This tells us that it's in full power. The Omer is in full power. Because the Omer is here to do Tikkun HaShalom. Just counting the Omer, we're going to see that just counting the Omer has tremendous effect. From the Gemara, no Kabbalah, from the Gemara, show you this. The Omer, it says in the Pasuk, in Mishlei, Lehanchil Oyhava Yesh. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will inherit those who love him. Yesh. Says the Mishnah in Uktzin. The Mishnah, even though it's written also in the Zohar and Shmini, I told you the Mishnah. So it's something that everyone can verify. Omar Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Rabbi Shua ben Levi said, Asi da HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the future, Lehanchil lechol tzadik v'tzadik. Every tzaddik will receive as a reward 310 worlds. Yesh is gematria 310. Omer is gematria 310. We through the Omer, not only we can remove the 49 Sha'arei Tumah, but we can be like the Bnei Yisrael that access the 49 Sha'arei Kedusha. And it's but on the other hand, you have also the downfall, because everything has a flip side. Keri, Chman HaNitzon, is gematria 310. So what defiles a person and put him down 49 degrees is the Keri. What it elevates a person to the 310 worlds, which are the 49 Sha'arei Kedusha, is the Omer. So the Omer makes Tikkun HaShalom. That's Emor ela kohanim b'nei Aharon. You have to make sure that you keep the Kedusha of Am Yisrael. And I'm not done with this, because if you take the inside, I'm not going to tell you this one. It's a bit. The Gemara says in Menachos, mitzvah lemimnei yoime. It's a mitzvah to count the days. Mitzvah lemimnei shavuot. It's a mitzvah to count also the weeks. What kind of a mitzvah is this? I understand that when I take the esrog, the lulav, and so together, I'm doing things in Shemayim and I'm bringing good things to myself. But to count a day, what does he have? What does he bring me? What does he do for me? This is exactly where, on the simplest mitzvah, the Rabbanon, Chazal made mitzvah specifically to tell us this is where the healing is. If you take these two mitzvahs, Yoime, Shavui, with the lashon of the Gemara, it's gematria choisam, the seal. As we say, choisam beris kodesh. And it's gematria chamishim yoim. How many days the chamishim yoim is the day of Shavuos? We're reaching the 50th level, which is the Bina, which is Shavuos. The highest level of Kedusha, the day when we can receive the Torah, the day when we can be liberated, the Tikkun HaShalem. This is all in the simplest thing of just mentioning the days and the weeks. Obviously, I could go a lot deeper in here, but this is the truth. This is this is what summarized the whole Omer. And I'm finishing on these words of the Zohar to give you the second thing I promised. The Zohar says, it says in the pasuk, Mi ya'ale lanu hashamayma. Moshe Rabbeinu says, don't say who's going to go in the sky and bring us the Torah. First letter, Mi ya'ale lanu hashamayma. Mila. Last letter, Mi yud ya'ale he lanu vav hashamayma he vav. Yud ke vav ke. The Mila has inside the Yud Ke Vav Ke. We are the seal keeper of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As long as we keep our deal, the ois, the bris HaKadosh Baruch Hu made with us, says the Zohar, even the evil forces, when they see us in the street and we don't see them, they change side. They're very scared of us. Therefore, a person should know that it's not only this Mila, because what is the word Mila in Hebrew? Mila means a word. What is the gematria of Mila? Is pei, the mouth. As Mishle said, Amaves v'achayim beyad haloshen. Life and death is controlled by the tongue. Exactly what the Badichobe told us. It's the dibur. The dibur says the Zohar. Why Mila and Pei have the same gematria? Because someone who doesn't keep his mouth doesn't keep his Mila neither. And this is how you get to know people. The way he talks is the way his thoughts are. Now we rejoin all the Rebbes together. The machshava that the Baal Shem said is translated into words. Is translated into actions. So when it's wrong in the machshava, everything goes wrong. When the machshava is good, everything goes good. And we can be zoiche to Mashiach, bimhera b'yameinu. And if you wanted to know that Emor la-Kohanim, B'nei Aharon, is also gematria, ze hayom also Hashem, ze yom Hashem agodel v'anoira, what it says about Mashiach. No need to dwell into that. We've said enough. You get the idea that the machshava, and this is the Kohen, controls everything. This share was given to Yishmas, my father, alav shalom. You should have a great aliyah. B'schus the Torah we learned barabim, and the secret we said of the Torah. And Bezas Hashem, each one should take this to his table and say over and explaining the thought, because even for the secular life, it's a tremendous base. Thank you very much. Call to and have a great Shabbos all.
Thank you.
Magnifique. Magnifique.
Thank you, Shimon.
Merci. Shimon est super, extraordinaire. À bientôt.
Kaya.